All right. Welcome. This is the No Apology Podcast. I'm your gracious host, SHAQUILLE. Um, I'm here today by myself. Unfortunately, I have tested positive for COVID-19. So I want to just give a shout out to my brother Chris. Even though he's not here right now, he's definitely here in spirit. And yeah, man, that's just where I'm at with it right now. My COVID experience has been, you know, pretty, I guess, subtle. Um, I didn't really know that I had the virus initially. I thought it felt like a cold. I had a sore throat, uh, runny nose, stuffy nose at first, and then my loss of taste and smell hit me like immediately. And that's when I kind of knew that something wasn't really right. Even the food and the drinks that I was beginning to intake, the the taste of it was kind of weird. It had like a chemical taste, and it was the same taste every time that I would try to taste something. So I kind of knew something was off. So after I did get tested, I really wasn't shocked at the news, especially because I was kind of sick for a minute. Um, it's been over a week now. I'm recording on Saturday, so yeah, you can only imagine. My taste is starting to come back. My smell is starting to come back slowly, and yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm actually recording at my crib right now, looking outside, looking at the trees, just trying to still appreciate life. And every time I get to wake up, I'm just trying to keep my brain moving, keep just learning new things, and yeah, just keeping my brain active, trying not to really think too much and get sad or down. Um, but yeah, just on quarantine. Um, I never really I never been in this type of space where you can't really go out like that as far as a real quarantine, because the first time that I was quarantining when this first happened, it wasn't like a real quarantine because I was just around somebody that tested positive. Even though I felt okay, I was still moving. So yeah, this is like a real you know go outside for an hour, take a walk, come back into the cell type of vibe. But yeah, man, I'm a warrior. Um, and we gonna get through this. So other than that, news just came out that Donald Trump will no longer be our president. So yeah, the inauguration will be usually sometime in January. But yeah, Joe Biden has won. Uh, and our vice president Kamala Harris. Shout out to black people. Again, we got to see our first black president, and now we're seeing the first black vice president. So shout out to black people. And yeah, we're gonna keep our foots on Joe Biden and Kamala Harris neck. Just off the strength that we were really just trying to get Trump the fuck out of here. So we still gonna have our eye out on them. But part of the job has been done. So that's something I guess to look forward to, for the end of this year to the top of 2021. I'm excited. Just really excited to see the change. I don't really have too many expectations because anything is possible with politics. But yeah, I'm just open to the change and what's next to come. I know a lot of people out there are really happy, and I know a lot of people out there are really upset. And, that's just what comes with the territory. Somebody got to win, somebody got to lose. But, I just want people to be safe. I don't think this is worth people losing their lives over. Um, so yeah, I'm just really curious to see what Joe Biden does and what he has in store for America, and wishing nothing but the best for these next 4 years. I think these 4 years are, really important. It may be more important than the last 4 years, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm just pushing for the best result. I don't, wish any harm on anybody. You know, I don't hate, any party, any person of any party. So yeah, after this, Donald Trump should have a quiet exit, hopefully. We really shouldn't hear too much from him, and people shouldn't really care to hear much from him after he's no longer president. I think that we should just leave that energy where it's at. Even though I don't think that that'd be a thing, because he already has the public's attention as is. So I'm just hoping that, after he does leave office, that people can now direct their energy elsewhere. And a shout out to Jersey too. I should have started off by saying that, but shout out to Jersey for finally passing the law on the legalization of marijuana. Um, Big ups to Phil Murphy. Even though this is going to be a process, I just want to big up Phil Murphy just off the strength that he did say that he was going to do this, and now is starting the process. And yeah, I saw a lot of people when the news first came out were they were just saying that they were gonna go outside that day and smoke, and I think a lot of people were misinformed and uneducated on the whole process and legalization of things like this nature. So lawmakers, they still have to pass a bill to implement the regulation of the marijuana industry, and they have to pass another bill to decriminalize possession. That's the one that is really important to everybody. And yeah, hopefully the people can get their records expunged as well as soon as possible, because I know a lot of people that have been convicted on weed charges, and it has affected their lives, personally. So, I definitely would want that to be in effect ASAP. But I just don't want people to be out there, thinking that they're going to just be smoking in front of police and they're not going to arrest you. That their job is to do things like arrest people for those things. So if you're questioning why they wouldn't come out and just say, hey, y'all can't smoke today, that's primarily because they don't want you to know that. So hopefully if you're listening to this and you didn't know, hopefully that you just got some knowledge to keep you not behind bars, keep you out in the streets living your life. But back to the election. So today's Saturday. So it took 5 days for us to find out who the president would be. 5 days. That's crazy. And CNN, they got a lot of ratings during this past couple days, and I think that was really what it was all about, just getting ratings. Because I think they already knew who the winner was going to be. I think the president is, usually decided way before the public actually knows. So yeah, I think it was just to watch the shit show. Watch everybody lose their mind. things like that. Y'all know how that goes. But yeah, that was really weird to witness. Could just being as though you always get that result on election day. You it was just so weird to figure out why what was taking them so long. But I guess with COVID and everybody having their different process to actually get their vote in, I guess it kind of took long. And yeah, that was weird too, like to see people, you know not only arguing about voting but arguing about how you vote. So it was like damn, okay, I could not vote and not be in either of these conversations, but that's even a bigger problem. So now I have to decide who I want to vote for. Then I got to decide how I vote so I don't offend anybody. Because if I vote for Trump and I go to the polls, somebody's going to look at me like, they're going to unfriend me on Instagram, block me from their social sites. And if they're family, they'll end up, shunning me from the family for voting for Trump and going to the polls. And going to the polls, because my mail-in ballot could have been a real direct approach. So yeah, that was weird. And that's a little bit of dry sense of humor for those who don't know. I do have a little dry sense of humor. So yeah, that was just weird. I ended up voting. I wasn't really sure if I was going to, for my own personal reasons, but I did end up voting for Joe Biden. And yeah, man, we did that. We did that. It still was weird seeing an election go that long, because I wasn't sure what was gonna happen at that point. And Trump being the sore loser that he is, when he was winning all the states, that they were waiting on counts for, like Nevada and all those states, when he won against Hillary, everything was fair and everything was well within the lawful rights of voting and polling. But when he was losing, oh man, when he was losing, man, every vote can't be counted. People gotta stop voting. They gotta stop the count after election day. They're cheating. If Biden wins, it's gonna be not fair because he cheated. All types of shit. Like, he's probably still in denial right now, and the news has already came out that he lost. He's probably still in denial. And yeah, man, Trump he's a character. We knew this coming in. I don't even think people would really be surprised by the things that went on during this presidency, the things that he said, because he's always been that type of guy. I guess it's funny being that he was our president. So, I could completely understand that. But yeah, hopefully he just goes away quietly. Hopefully he don't have the Proud Boys, guarding the White House with guns, because he don't want to leave. That'd be weird. That'll cause a lot of ruckus. So yeah, I'm definitely proud that we were able to do this as a unit, as a country. And it wasn't real unanimous at all. People were still voting for Trump for whatever reason, and I respect their reasoning for doing that, because we live in that country where you have a choice. You can vote for one or you can vote for the other. But how he handled the coronavirus is something that is way bigger than just the little tax things and all that stuff that we would look at him weird for. And I think the voters, the people that did vote for him, I think they should at least question how he handled this virus. And if they feel like he handled it the best way that he could, and he did a fine job, I would want to have a conversation with those people. I would want to figure out, what I'm like, because I try to be open to all conversations. I try to be, educated on things that I may not know anything about. So I would 100% want to hear what somebody in that mindset, in that thought process, what would they think about how this president has handled this coronavirus? We've got an $1,200 check in the course of these months of this year, and they've been arguing about the amount to give us next and all of that. Like, you're dealing with lives. Like, they're arguing over the amount that we should get as if the 1,200 was enough. They're arguing about if they should still give us the same amount. So that's where we gotta just look at it, look at these people as not only people, but look at them as politicians. It's not even about humanity. You would think these things would be an easy decision, but you got one person that's more liberal, you got another person that's more radical, then you got two people that's on different parties. So it's like the the Crips and Bloods of America. They just don't like each other. They got to come up with this decision, but they're not in the same gang. I never was the type of person. I really don't like arguing about politics. I don't like to argue about politics and religion. Because that's something that people are real strong-headed on. People don't really like to hear anything they don't want to hear. They don't like to hear anything close to that. Anything that they're interested in with politics, that's what they want to hear about. Even things like, and like Donald Trump, I had to block Donald Trump a long time ago on Twitter. And I guess this is kind of a segue onto my next topic, but I was watching this documentary on Netflix, and I urge everyone to watch it out there, The Social Dilemma. And to tie it back to Trump before I get into the documentary and stuff, I feel bad for Trump. I felt bad for him when I had to block him from Twitter like a while ago, and it just wasn't healthy for me to constantly see him and seeing people respond to him. Like, it just wasn't healthy for me because it was always negative energy. Like, I was on that type of time. Like, okay, I get that people don't like him and things like that, but to constantly see that negative energy out there when people already know who he is as a person, it was kind of getting repetitive to me. And I really think he's a victim of being addicted to social media, being addicted to his Twitter, seeing those reactions and the replies, and the love to him that he may get when he tweets something out is addicting. And I know that just by him saying the things that he has said on Twitter, that's just his first reaction. And I never looked at him as before he was president. I always, and I'm not going to say always, but for the most part, before he became president, I looked at him like a person that knew who he was, as an individual. He wasn't really that insecure of a person, and he just didn't give a fuck. Like, that's what I thought of him. And then when he became president, under them tweets, he got real sensitive and insecure. He became, this human person that, and even though it is him, and I never voted for him and probably never would vote for him, I still was empathetic just towards that side of it. And yeah, I had to block him, And with this documentary, The Social Dilemma, it basically ties into how these tech companies and these social media companies, how they're here in place to control humanity. Short and sweet. And this conversation about, just technology and how it is addicting, I've, not to toot my own horn, but I think that I've been ahead of the curve, you know, just with bringing awareness to it, long before this documentary came out. I always talk about it. I've been bringing awareness to it on my social media for a while now. I have conversations. People hate when I have conversations about that. And I understand completely, just because, technology and social media has, as far as the generation now and, my generation, I was born in 93, my generation, we were really, kind of brought up on technology. Like, we did live part of our lives without it, but like our high school times and that was like ran by, social media. So I know that the conversation on like how to not allow it to control our lives and control our time is not easy. It's definitely not easy, but I urge anybody that hasn't saw this documentary to check it out. And this is gonna be a spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. I'm not gonna really say the things that they talked about. Well, I'm not gonna say everything they talked about, but I am gonna bring up some things that they said, and I think you should still check the documentary out, regardless of what I say. But yeah, with these platforms, all of them are pretty much geared to keep you on them as long as possible. The algorithms change, for Instagram specifically. Like, the algorithm is geared towards what you're interested in, what you're liking, what it is you're looking at the longest. Like, your algorithm moves and caters to you as a individual, and they have people that monitor everything that you're doing on these platforms. How long you're looking at a picture, what you decide to look at when you're happy, when you're sad. They're already able to kind of gauge you and how you are as a person, how your mind works. And like I said, it's not really these social medias like Facebook and stuff. Like, Facebook really started out good. It was, a place where people just were able to come together and meet with people that they haven't talked to in a long time. And that's, what it was. But now it's, really become just this driving force that they have out there to just keep people interested, keeping people locked in. And now, the algorithms are manipulated to basically satisfy unknown advertisers. So whatever, you're looking at the most and is getting your attention, most likely an ad is going to pop up in that niche that you're searching for and that you're paying attention to so much, and just to get revenue. Doesn't matter how unsafe it is, how much time it takes up of our days. And one of the main contributors of this documentary, Tristan Harris, he was a former worker of Google, and his idea was basically for these platforms to stop focusing on time spent and time well spent. Because like I said, they're even their job is to keep you on there as much as possible. How long can we get? And even with the iPhone messages, how you can see when somebody's typing, or the Instagram messages, how you can see somebody typing. I'm not sure how Facebook is. I deleted Facebook, but um, even down to the notifications that you get on your lock screen, and how they broke it down in the documentary was, when you see somebody tagged you in a picture, and you get the notification, how many people are able to not even look and see what the picture was or see what's going on. And then when you do that, you're now on your phone for 25 minutes. 20 minutes then went by just from you being tagged in a picture. So it's little things like that alone that are just tactics that are used to keep you engaged. TikTok and Snapchat being one of the most popular app for the young teens right now, and they're banking on TikTok to really be that app that it's just one of those apps that where you feel left out. They don't really have to promote it much because the people make the app go viral. So I think that when you see the newest TikTok trend as a kid in school, and you see all your friends have it and they have Snapchat, you're gonna feel left out. So these platforms are banking on you to feel alone by not having something that may not be necessarily good for you, and it's been working. It's been working. You don't really see Snapchat commercials on TV or Instagram commercials on TV, Facebook commercials. A lot of these platforms are really just self-promoted, by word of mouth. So that it was a deep documentary. It was a deep documentary. A lot of times, I think if you're not aware of how addicting these things get, that's cool. I 100% get that. But the people that do, and choose to not do anything about it, those are the people that I usually would want to talk to those people. I would want to see like what's going on, like, and it's not for everybody to even entertain in their life, because like I said, a lot of us are just used to the idea of technology anyway, because we've been so involved with it to begin with. So I'm not really too worried about those people, but the people that do want to, pull back from it and sort of just not be, so attached to these things, it's time out there to be spent. It's definitely time out there. And I guess people would ask, the main question that was asked in regards to this conversation was, well, what's the problem? How do we fix it? Now, Tristan Harris, he did a TED Talk a couple years ago, and he asked the same question. Then it was 3 ways that he said could change the problem. One way was acknowledging that we are persuadable as people. A lot of people, like I said, even going back to what I said earlier, a lot of people don't even know that these devices and platforms are even manipulating. People don't think they are manipulated. They don't think that these things have that power to even manipulate them. So I think the first thing that I agree with Tristan, that the first thing would be to just acknowledge it for what it is. Let's get that out the way first, so then we can go to the next step. The second way to change the problem is new models and accountability systems for the people in the control rooms, meaning the people that work for the Instagrams, Facebooks, Twitters, Snapchats. They're held accountable for not being transparent and knowing our demands as consumers. Just the transparency that the social sites will be more of a helping thing and not detrimental is something that has to be communicated all the way up to the top, because times like right now, like we're able to get what we want when we use our voices, enough, and that's the thing. Like if enough people, and if every day, one day out of the week, every person in this country decides that they're going to not use their phone, the percentage that of people that aren't using their phone is going to hurt these companies. Just that one day of not using these devices, just one day would hurt these companies, and they would have to make a difference to then supply the demand of our needs. But now we're supplying their demands, whatever they want as far as the time spent on the devices. They're getting that with no fight. And that's something that we have to look at and see, like, what is the future for these things? What is the future for us? Because as of right now, this technology is ruining our generation, and it's hurting a lot of people's personalities, people's characters. Like these, and I know it's kind of weird to hear from me, because I'm not like a doctor or anything, but I just urge everybody to do their own research before I say what I gotta say, because these things, if you're on there long enough, sometimes it can make us cranky. Like just that alone, like, in order for my generation of people, I would say, to really, get out there and find that balance, is taking a real break from it. And I don't mean like not posting, but still scrolling, like taking a real break from it every now and then, and traveling. You gotta invite other perspectives into your life, and you have to find meaning, find purpose, and just go out and really enjoy life. And I don't think that you'll ever find yourself and your purpose being engaged with those type of platforms every day. And yeah, a lot of people commit suicide because a lot of they don't feel as popular on these social sites, or they feel too popular on these social sites. But now it's like this race, between not feeling like enough on social media and then feeling okay on social media. Neither one of those things are really ever fed completely when it's like a constant back and forth. Because like I say, like, if you're not posting on social media and you're not seeing that like button, you might feel real lonely. And I know I forgot the third thing, but I'm gonna get back to that too. I just remember. But then when you see that like button light up on a day that you might still feel lonely, when you see that like button light up, still being in the same zone, still in the same location, literally lonely. But when the like button it lights up, or you see that notification, it's gratifying. That emotion that was negative before, it's switched just from seeing that. And that's something that, and going to the third way to change the problem is a design renaissance. And the example that Tristan Harris used in his TED talk was, imagine just a friend canceling a dinner, and now you're home and lonely, and then you just decide, I'm gonna go on Instagram. And what if there was a design on Instagram or Facebook that changed your algorithm to push you to not want to spend that time on Instagram, but to find somebody to go out with that night? Because, and then when you ask that question, it's like, that time that you spent feeling lonely and involving your time into that, it could have been time spent on actually changing your, situation, changing that vibe. And this conversation is not for, every single human being in the world. There's a lot of people out there that don't really care about this as a conversation. There's a lot of people out there that wouldn't consider technology dangerous, and I understand that. I definitely do. But just the ways of the world and how huge these industries get because of the support that we provide as a collective, it gets suspicious. And I think, with cancel culture being a thing, people are afraid to have different perspectives. They try to play it safe, and maybe enough people speaking out, enough celebrities speaking out on the, negative of these platforms, maybe that will start some type of chain reaction and change. But for right now, I know, like, for people like me, like, I don't really care about being canceled. I don't care about, people not liking what I say, just because you don't like what I'm saying about just even this in general, this topic, just because somebody might not like the conversation on technology being addicting, it doesn't mean that it doesn't need to be said. And that's where I would come in as an individual. If you ask me about myself personally, ask me to define myself as an individual, it'd be in one word, I'd say a visionary. Because I'm always, that person that's thinking years ahead, months ahead. I don't really live in the now, I'm always living in the future. I'm always trying to make sure what I'm doing now is sustainable and beneficial for my future. So with talking about this, if I'm talking about it in regular conversation, I'm going to be 100% passionate. I'm a real explosive person when I talk. But as far as teaching and trying to educate people, I'm always going to be open to, just a back and forth in a conversation. But doing your own research, I think, is important. I think doing your own research and having your own understanding on how you can be manipulated if you're not already, and just implementing those small changes in your lifestyle, your everyday lifestyle. Because not only what you eat is, a thing about dieting, but what you watch and what you see, the people you're around, those are all things that are complementing and contributing to your life diet, as a whole. And these problems, this is not just, this is not a thing about, bad people, as in like the higher ups of these companies doing bad things. This is not a thing of that. This is just simply a global outrage, a global, silent cry for help. And it has to start somewhere. It definitely has to start somewhere. Like I said, check that documentary out. We just went through this election, and if the news is fake, imagine history. I'm going to say that again. If the news is fake, imagine history. Imagine the history of, things that is not all the way 100% told to you correctly. That's why it's just so important to do research. This technology has been a fast moving trend. We get new iPhones, about every year or two. It seems like this stuff is coming fast, and we have to get some type of curve, some type of a head curve on this. For me personally, I think I'm just not a video game guy. I'm a phone guy. I like my laptop, and I like my social media here and there. But like I said, just trying to be ahead of that addiction curve. Like I deleted my Facebook about 5 years ago, I believe. Yeah, like 5 years ago. And I really felt no way about it. I knew why I was doing it. Just seeing that constant energy on Facebook, it was just a lot for me. That shit was just a lot for me personally. And I really wasn't on there that much anyway before I deleted it, so it was an easy fix for me. But now I'm just at a point right now where I'm trying to input other lifestyles in my life diet, to when I feel the urge to be on my phone. Like if I can have a conversation or take a walk or something in the times where I really want to just sit and binge on Instagram, I try to do that, or I just try to be creative and just in learning. YouTube is also another probably my biggest addiction will probably be YouTube. But I don't have the autoplay feature on my YouTube, so that's something that you should also consider, taking off. Give yourself that limit to where, all right, I'm not just letting this app just keep playing and keep rolling, because that goes back to just having that attention and having that time spent on it. Give yourself that security to turn that little autoplay thing off. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now as an individual. I'm not perfect. I do have my moments where I slip into the cracks of the no pun intended, but the cracks of the addiction of technology. But it's a fight for me. I'm not going out without a fight. So yeah, this was a weird one. I did this by myself. I kind of was nervous about it. Didn't really know, how I would feel doing it. But, I definitely miss my co-host, man. Shout out my brother Chris. Check that documentary out on Netflix again, The Social Dilemma. Shout out to America for doing what needed to be done, getting a new president. Congratulations again to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Very anxious for the next years to come and seeing what you guys can do for us as a country. And rest in peace to King Von as well. I didn't talk about that earlier, but rest in peace to King Von. uh, young Chicago rapper, died yesterday. Yeah, man, we gotta just understand when we are chosen to be great. Even though they're rappers, we still gotta stick together, and nobody deserves to, get gunned down and shot. So I think it's just important for us to see the bigger picture in things and not really focus on the beef. Because at the end of the day, somebody out there is happy that that young man died, and the other, you know, young rappers that have died over time. So, hopefully, with all that being said, somebody will be able to hear these words and pass it to the next person. And I just want to thank y'all for y'all continuing support, for this podcast. Keep spreading that word about, what we're doing here on No Apology. And I just hope everybody stays safe and protect yourselves against this coronavirus. I never thought that I'd get it, but the baby done got me now. The baby done caught me. So, yeah, man, with that being said, this is the No Apology podcast, man. I'll see y'all next week.